When I was in school in Minnesota, I had very close friends. And when my father changed jobs, we decided to move out to New Jersey. And I remember sitting on the front step of our new house in New Jersey thinking, I can't wait to meet all these new friends. I can't wait to go have a good time with these kids, play sports with them. And that dream, so to say, kind of was shot down almost instantaneously when I started my first day of school out there.
Through many dangerous toils and snares.
Really, it was probably the first week that it started to get bad because they found out because I'm new, I don't have any friends, I don't have any connections, I don't have anyone to lean back on. I was labeled certain terms that were awful, and they would always try to beat me up and try to shove me into lockers. I would literally put my feet down and stretch, thinking that I would grow more because they would make fun of me so much for being small. I remember them being in a circle like they would in movies with me in the center. They would take towels, get the tips wet, and they would whip me with them to the point where I'm bleeding, I'm bruised. I carried all of that on my back. I made that who I was. The pain and the anger and the self-destruction defined me.
On June 9th of 1997, it was a Monday, between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Got off early that day, and I used to love going down to the bluffs over the Mississippi River.
Through many dangerous toils and snares.
Decided to sunbathe, laying on a towel. And you know, when you've had your eyes closed and it's a really sunny day and you first open them, it takes your eyes a while to adjust. All I could see in front of me as my eyes slowly adjusted was the figure of a man, his shadow over the top of me. He'd been stalking me. He had a mask on. That was the only thing that he was wearing. I mean, the next thing I knew, he was on top of me. And I screamed, and he wasn't expecting that. He tried to run, and I'm not sure why to this day, but I decided to chase him. I turned into that girl that runs up the stairs instead of out the front door in those movies where you're like, go out the front door. That's when I realized I could die. I turned and ran, and I went in the opposite direction. I like to say that I survived that day, but that day was the beginning of a slow, long death. I think that I wanted to be living, but I knew that I wasn't. It was kind of this thing that my family didn't talk about. You know, 6 months later, I was called in for a lineup, and I mean, it was something that didn't necessarily go away right away, but it wasn't discussed. And because of my lack of support system and family, I was left to fend for myself. And I had a lot of anger and bitterness, and I was suicidal. And as the drinking got worse to cope, or the drugs got worse, the more desperately I wanted to be free of all of that. And I got to the point where I realized I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to hurt anymore. I was ready to be free, and I made a decision to forgive. Not just forgiving him, but forgiving my parents, and even better, forgiving myself. For a lot of things. And when I chose to let go of that pain and that bitterness and that anger and that frustration, I got something far greater in return. You can't buy, you can't box, freedom.